fridge and find a place where I can get a beer and talk while I have a beer.
Yeah, we
That's
just went live as you said. We went live as you said that. So that's
I'm gonna try to catch somewhere and catch up to Dave.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have one, but here, cheers. Congratulations, guys.
Cheers. Cheers. Thanks.
Massive win. How are you feeling? I always felt like the day after I got hit with a baseball bat. Is that kind of the feeling right now?
Yeah, fortunately I just got up from a 3-hour nap, so I feel amazing. But 3 hours ago, yes, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I bet. David, for you, like coming back all these years, it must be pretty incredible to come straight back and start winning again with Cal.
Well, I forgot how exhausting those meets were. I mean, it's one thing when you're at the Olympics and you sort of get a lot more recovery time because you have semifinals, and if you have a medal candidate, they're going to advance into the final, or at least the semifinal round, and you're not too much stress. But here, every dadgum session is 100%. It's just full on. And so, yeah, I was very exhausted, and fortunately, Dave let me sleep in and not have to run guys to the airport this morning. So I did sleep in, and now I'm up in Blue Ridge, Georgia, just checking on my mom and my parents up here. So they live near Atlanta, so it's good to catch up with them. And Aaron, my son, came over, and Kristen's actually driving right now, so I can be on the call.
Well, listen, all of you, I appreciate that. Thanks for doing this. I know there's some people in the comments. We just saw Kim pop in. Kim's out there. What's up, Kim? I'm sure she wanted to grab a beer with you guys, so I'm sure she's doing that right now. Who else we got here? We got a comment from Noah. Go Bears! Lots of fans, lots of people happy. So listen, Dave, just in terms of the decision to pick up David Marsh as an assistant coach, like how did that come about? I felt like when I heard the news, I was like, what a brilliant decision that was. But how'd you do it?
It was actually a pretty quick phone call. To back up a little bit, as I sat down with Chase and we talked about, what his February, March, April was looking like. And Brett, as we come off of this meet too, we're still looking at a month from now going to World Championship trials in Greensboro and trying to advance guys to that team. So it is in the dynamic of our calendar. The end of March was an important meet for us at NCAAs, and then we have another important meet for us at the end of April at World Championship trials. We had an important meet at the beginning of March in Pac-12s. So just trying to balance this all out with Chase and the things that he wanted to experience as a father, as a husband, as a first-time dad. We talked through sort of some different iterations of that, and then as a combination of making sure that we were supporting Chase and Liz, making sure that we were following the compliance piece of this, making sure that we were following the sort of the human resource piece of it at Cal. The option presented itself to bring in a coach to help during this time. And David was my first phone call, and I told David, it's like, hey, listen, you're my and I joke about this from our conversation earlier, Brett. It's like, David, you're my 1A, you're my 1B, you're my 1C, like you're my option. So if you're in, let's do it, let's go. And pretty immediately the wheels got turning after that phone call.
I mean, you guys have had success many years ago, but I think a lot of people may now think, well, how does that dynamic work between, now you got two legitimate star head coaches. How do they operate on the pool deck? A lot of people from the outside looking in may not understand how you two can figure that out. So how do you actually go about separating that out?
No, there's only one head coach. It's Dave Durden. It's his team. It's his culture. He's worked his butt off to establish. And honestly, I was surprised it was so easy to fall in as an assistant. And there's no doubt that is something that made it very easy and made it very successful. So I attribute it to Dave, and I don't want Dave's job. Don't if people ask me about all these other jobs and things that come up in college, and I'm like, hey, I'm good
helping to fill in and doing what we do. I've got other things I do. Just get a little bit like you, Brett. And you saw, I don't know if you saw my comments on Instagram as to somebody may pick you up next year. This may become a thing.
Oh, I'm probably someone's second or third choice. We'll see.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah.
It's an inside joke, Dave.
Yeah.
You should have gone on the call a little earlier.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I mean, it's, I think it's one thing to look back maybe 17 years ago when we were on the pool deck together,
right? But
it's also like I've been on international trips with David where he's been the head of the Olympic coach, and I'm an assistant coach, and
right.
so we've been in that dynamic before of sharing the deck, and certainly sharing the deck in a 6-week segment, 5-week segment, whatever it is, going from a trials to an Olympics or trials to a world championships. And it's perfect. And it's, and that was the perfect window snapshot, to really combine our personalities, to just impact the guys as we were narrowing our team from our roster, that was going through the year to our Pac-12 roster, to our NCAA roster. I mean, that's the beauty of David Marsh, right? Is that 6-week, 7-week window heading into a major competition. That's where he's able, and even better yet, Brett, he was able to come in and have a fresh set of eyes on everything and see it and make it better. And that was almost as important as just having the knowledge, the experience, everything that comes with David and his championship runs. It was just the fresh set of eyes on our culture, on our environment, on our guys that really impacted us.
Yeah, actually, I talked to a couple of your pro guys fairly often, Ryan Murphy being one, and that's kind of the impact that he said Dave was having on him, and he could see it in the college guys as well. That's a tough position to come into, David, where you don't want to step on any toes. You don't want to mess with anybody's psyche or, their strokes necessarily. They're pretty set, 6 weeks out of NCs. There's a lot of foundation being done. So how do you figure out what your role is in terms of each individual swimmer?
I think the ISL actually helped me out a little bit because, you work with people in short periods of time and it's short course. So it's all about details and you really try to figure out and play with things that can help them in the short run, but you can't make major changes. I actually loved last night when I could have some nice, little bit longer talks with a couple of guys about what I saw their direction for the future. But I think in the 6 weeks we had, what I tried to do is just communicate with Dave if I was going to even thinking about changing something or working on some technical aspect, or let's say changing a turn. There were a few things I felt like we were able to do sort of right away, but all that was in collaboration with Dave, and sort of like he gave me the yes on it. Brett, that's what I used to ask of you guys. If you're gonna mess with strokes, just let me know what you're doing and go ahead. And at some point, I don't know, after a few times I've been checking with Dave, he just looked over and he said, "Don't need to check with anymore. Just go." He said, "Just go. Let's go." Yeah. So I think he got the feeling, and the athletes especially felt that he trusted me. And I think that gave the athletes a lot of confidence, because I think one of the things that's amazing in the Cal culture, even though these guys come from all kinds of backgrounds, they have massive academic stress. They have different events and all that. They all trust Dave. I mean, it's really, Dave's an engineer and it's an engineer period, but he also engineers his team and relates to his team in a trusting way, such that there's just this level of trust. If Dave says so, that's what I'm doing. I'm all in. And it's, they don't even hesitate. It's literally all in. So it's very impressive culture. I've seen it being shaped, and even with the early days he was out there coming in Maryland, I saw it being shaped at Cal right away, because up in Colorado Springs with them, and I was like, dang, this thing is going. And so, but I mean, Brett, you like me, or the thing that's I'm most blown away is, can you imagine 12 years of number one or number two? I certainly have never done that, and I don't even know what that is. I think, Dave, weren't you like 22 when you came into Cal? How did you do this?
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to know that. You haven't been out of the top two in, what is it, 12 years now. So I mean, I don't know, man. What is the secret? Like, what's the secret? I will say this, and I agree with Dave Marsh and what he just said. I speak to a lot of guys, a lot of Cal guys from the past, and no one ever has a bad word to say about you. Like, they eat out of your hand. It's like you're the Messiah. It's like it's incredible how you've got them to just believe and trust. And that doesn't mean you have perfect swims all the time. Like, you have ups and downs. There's no doubt about that. Even some of your seasons where they don't completely hit, but the guys never lose trust. They never lose faith. And that's really special, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know how that came about. I mean, I can remember when I walked in to Cal my first year in the fall of 2007, and just really, and I can say confidently that in the fall of 2007, the Cal men's swimming program had a tremendous senior class, and that helped me. I remember walking into that group and just asking, "Hey guys, how does this look?" Like, almost like, "Hey, help me, help me in terms of what you guys want to do and how you want to do this." And just that blend of taking the tradition, the legacy, just what these 11 seniors had been doing during their time at Cal, and then like taking my experiences and that blend together, that collaboration together in my first year, really helped our success and really helped my success. And I really haven't changed too much since then. It is that collaboration piece, sitting down with our seniors and say, okay, hey, you guys have been here for 3 years. And in some cases with the super seniors, you've been here for 4 years. What does it look like for you moving through a season, and where can I help, and where can you help me, and where do you see some deficiencies that we can enhance, and where do you see some things that we're doing really well that we want to get better at? So it is that nothing's changed really since that first year, other than the personalities. And I credit that senior class in 2007, 2008 for the success that we've had and the success that we continue to have. And I'll North Thornton, when I walked in the door, was absolutely phenomenal with me.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, I was 31 years old, and Nort had been the head coach for 31 years. And for me to come in and Nort support me as the head coach, and really show that amongst the group and the guys, like, that elevated me. I mean, I think, and David can correct this if I'm wrong, but I think Richard Quick always had the quote about coaches that we can do more and do better because we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's what it was for me with Nort. I was able to do more because I was standing on the shoulders of what he had created.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I want to get into the NCAAs itself, maybe even day by day, just briefly, but David Marsh, just going back to Pac-12s, how does this man not shave so many athletes and get them qualified for this meet and take these risks that he's taking and get – I mean, I don't know how you do it. I mean, most teams have to shave everybody at least once during the year, bring them all down, and you're still, even winning championships, not doing that. How do you do it?
Well, what I see happening at Cal is, again, that belief factor where they trust Dave, and just like you said, Brett. And so I think when he's running the numbers, looking at where the nation is, where's a couple of guys that the nation happened to shave them, and Bryce Medford was on his last swim, he didn't have a cut. Pretty key guy to have on your team going into the NCAA championships. But Dave let him make his decision on what he did. So I think that's the biggest thing, is Dave just has a really good feel. Brett, when you guys are working at Auburn and you were swimming at Auburn, I generally would shave everybody for conference. We wouldn't rest very much so that we could go back to work if we wanted to, or we could keep resting if somebody didn't go fast enough. So we'd make a call. But with a short time Dave has after conference and going in NCAAs, I think this is a really smart move if you have the guts to do it. I wouldn't have the guts. In no way I could handle the suspense of that. I'd be shaving a lot more people and going into NCAAs, but Dave's got a good formula. And most important, his athletes believe in that. And the other thing is, I don't want to tell all the secrets, so I'm not going to say too much that Cal does that I think gives them some little edges, but for sure one of the things is trying to make it to where, in fact, the conversation that's already happening is make your spring and summer so good to where next year you're taking care of cuts in a dual meet sometime in a regular Speedo. You're not waiting till the end of the year to pick up a time that will get you pulled into the NCAA championships. And I think that's when you have that culture going on, then you have year-round culture, which not only does that improve your chances to perform long course and at the international level, it also allows for you to continue to build one season on the next. And no doubt that's what Dave has going on at Berkeley.
Yeah, good stuff. Dave, I publicly said this, and I told you that, and before the meet started, I put a little pressure on you because I made my prediction, and I needed my prediction to come true. So I told everybody that I was picking Cal, and I was picking Cal for one main reason, because when I looked at it on paper, I looked at Cal and Texas very, very even, but I knew that with the experience that both you guys have on that last morning, I knew you could figure it out. I just knew that collectively you guys will put your team in a position where you would figure it out, because you've done it time and time again. So I just didn't doubt that. But let me ask you this. When you're looking at the two teams on paper and you know that you can't make a mistake anywhere, and one of those swims just doesn't go right, how do you keep it together? How do you keep it together emotionally where you don't crash in front of your whole team, so that emotionally you're keeping them involved and you're keeping that energy up, so that it's not like they're feeding off you of like, oh, we just lost the meet on one swim type of thing,
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think our guys have, the experience factor coming into NC2As with our Pac-12s, where they are in the calendar. It's not too far away. And Brett, if you looked at our first full day at Pac-12, so that, 500 free, 200 IM, 50 free day, we weren't very good. I mean, it was not a good performance day for us. It was more of, we kind of walked in to our Pac-12 meet, and it's like, okay, this is how this is going to go. The energy level wasn't necessarily up. We came in and we just got absolutely punched in the face by Stanford and Arizona State. I mean, just to the point where we were walking out of that session and just looking at each other like, what the hell happened? And so, I think that experience of, okay, everything doesn't have to go perfect for us to swim well. And everything doesn't have to go perfect for a particular athlete. So an athlete that may have been a 3-event A finalist in previous years, like that person doesn't have to be 3-event A finalist at NC2As for us to be successful. And so I think we benefit from having our conference meet be competitive and be close to NC2As and be a fresh experience for us, where we can make those corrections from the very in the first week of March to the last weekend of March. And that's what it was all about for us. So I think this year specifically, I don't necessarily, kind of say historically, but this year specifically, that was a help for us, because the Pac-12 or the NC2A conference meet, or the NCAA championship meet rather, was going to go very similar to the Pac-12 conference meet for us. Just knowing that we had to work through the first couple full days before we got to that Saturday session for us to really be at our best in terms of number of events. And Brett, I think David and I both played to the intelligence factor of our guys. We sat down with them and talked about, hey, we had 15 swims on our first day at NC2As. And I think it was 10 of those 15 were third best events for our guys. And maybe one or two were actually their best event. So, I think our guys understood that, okay, it's kind of hard to come into an NC2A meet and get some momentum going. if a majority of your swims are your guys' third best events, or in some cases their fifth best event, but just because of the NCAA order, we had to put them in a 200 IM or a 500 or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Let me just speak to Dominic right now. Dominic, you just calm down, okay? Just relax. We're just enjoying a beer here on this one. This has been a beautiful championship, okay? Calm down. Right. Okay. Good.
Well, and Brett, when we talk about that 2007, 2008 class, Dominic Maketree was one of the seniors in that 2007, 2008
there you
class
go. Okay.
that made a difference. And
all right,
it's great to see him, here, and know, Dominic, know that this is the reason that we're having this success is because of guys like yourself in that class. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's good to see him in the comments section. But let's enjoy this one. It was a crazy championship. David, just there we go. Oh, right, nice. Here we go. Cheers, that's better. We're back. Turn your sound on, David. You're on mute.
Yeah.
We want to hear you drink this thing.
I got priorities here. Aaron brought me one from across the way here.
Oh, that's a sun right
I think
there.
It's officially stole a glass. I'll return it.
I think that's right. David, all right, a question for you then. All right, so as the kind of the meet gets going, what are you seeing early on in this meet that gives you hope?
Brett, honestly, I wouldn't even say it that way. I'd say the opposite. It scared the crap out of me.
Really?
I have not seen short course swimmers swim this fast. I don't even know what this is, Brett. When I left, and I left 2007, we won the women's, we won the men's. We got to do a little bit of a mic drop, and I was like, okay, done with that. And I walked back in this year, as Dave reminds me, 16 years, you too, by the way, Brett, 16 years later. I didn't think I got that old, but it's like these guys are going times that we're winning events to qualify for top 16 sometimes, for sure top 8. And so the level of the athlete, I walk on the deck, there's got to be, I would say, 20 guys, 6'5", 6'6", up to 6'8", 6'9", that are walking around the deck. We didn't have that. We had an occasional Derek Gibb, but we had to get him out of off a Alaska fishing boat to bring down to the lower 48 to join us. So it's just a very different type of athlete. I would attribute that to the Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte sort of popularity of swimming. I think we've got better talent, better athletes, and then they're being coached really well. And Dave's a great example of that, where I think the athletes know that when they're training for the majority of the year, they're training to race well. They're not just training to train or be able to advertise great training sets. They're not training to see how many little weights on the power rack they can pick up during a day. There's a really good combination at Berkeley of a focus on long course overall mentality with short course details built into his training regime. I mean, we were swimming long course 2 times a week coming into the NCAAs. The week of NCAAs, we were swimming long course. And so, Dave's got a commitment to the process of overall swimming. So when I showed up there the first day, I see all these fast times. I see these amazing looking athletes. Love seeing the coaches I haven't seen in a long time. Most of them were really happy to see me. A few weren't happy to see me, but that's okay. I'm kind of glad they're not happy to see me. If you know what I mean. I think you two do for sure. So it was a really exciting time. And I would say for the Berkeley crew, the first day, even though we weren't racking up a lot of points, they were either on their times or a little faster than their times. They just weren't, a lot of them just weren't sneaking in. And so I felt good that there was some momentum going. They did know that the third day was our best day, but we rang the bell pretty hard the second day. So look, guys, we to overcome such a strong team as Texas, Florida, Indiana, NC State, ASU, those guys. I mean, we got to go on day 2. They can't fart around. And I think they really answered that call. Dave did a great job of sort of really just challenging them, and they want to be challenged. And I think that's something that if you're an athlete that is worth your salt, the best comes out of you when you're challenged.
Yeah. Dave, Durden, the way that Dave Marsh was winning championships in the past is not on the strength of his superstars, but it was on the strength of his depth and the other players. You know, people you'd never heard of were scoring points for Auburn back in the day. And you seem to have picked up that method of winning or performance now at Cal, where it's not necessarily about the superstars, but now we have a meet that is basically an Olympic game. So how do you get kind of a non-Olympic finalist to swim at an Olympic, you know, to be in an Olympic final? You know, they shouldn't be there, but they end up being there. And there's probably a couple of names that I can think of. Maybe you can throw in some names of guys that kind of stepped up or swam above themselves in the meet to get Cal points.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's names that are cycling through my head, and it's you know, I do think I think the story I shared, it's last night already, but it feels like it's been a week since we won. But you know, the story that I shared last night is that we had one of our best swimmers, or arguably our best swimmers, Bjorn Seeliger, that at the meet over the course of 3.5 days was more concerned about everybody else's swimming than his own. He probably spent about 15-20% of his emotional, mental energy in his own preparation for his individual or relay swims.
Right.
And then the rest of it is that guy getting to bed? Watch this guy warming down, make sure that he needs to do this, make sure that this guy is getting this, make sure this guy's going. I mean, he was into everybody else's swimming. And that's one of many. So that's one of 18 on our team. That's how we're able to have some performances from some guys that you may not expect to be in an A final or to finish top 3 at an NC2As. Do that is because we have these impactful leaders on our team, not only our 5th years and our seniors, but the guys that you kind of scroll through the classes, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, that want to see everybody have this level of success. And so when guys feel that from, you know, one of our best guys in Bjorn or one of our best guys in Hugo. I mean, Hugo goes 3:32 in the 400 IM and gets out. It's like, and very genuinely, and you know this about Hugo, very genuinely says, I did that for the points for the team. You know, just very genuinely. And so our guys feel that and feed off of that. And you can't help but swim fast for that, because you know, it's like, man, if Hugo wants to see me swim fast, then I'm going to go swim fast for that guy that just went 3:32 in the 400 IM.
Yeah. David, what kind of head coach is Coach Durden in the meetings? You know, like, take us into a meeting room. What's he going over in the meetings to get his boys kind of in that state where they need to be?
Well, I could throw you out a name because he didn't get to this name, but I think this is one of the guys that was sort of a quiet hero for us was Liam Bell. You know, that we honestly had no idea what he might be able to do in that 200 medley relay. He was super nervous because he hasn't been in a pressure situation like this, but he threw down that 22.7, and we didn't have that. Also, it protected Reese from having to do the 50 breast and sort of mess up the rhythm of his 100, 200 strokes. So it saved that. Then he goes on to bust out, drop from 52.0 to 50.5 and make finals in the 100 breast and then take third. And then he goes over in the 200 breast, which is the biggest shock of the meet, honestly. And I told his mom last night, I didn't know he could do a 200 breast. So now that we know that, he might be doing a little bit more, because he was doing the sprint stuff really all the way into it. But he busts out a 152 in the morning, makes it in 14th, and then wins the consoles. And so yeah, he's one of the guys that you know, he came in as a transfer and has just lit it up.
Yeah.
But I go back to the team meetings. Let's talk about team meetings a little bit. First of all, team meetings are always end, and this is the way the Berkeley guys have done when they've been on our ISL teams. You remember the first season when the guys, and most of them were the Berkeley post grads that wanted to do it, but at the end of meetings they wanted to have private time together. So every meeting ends with the seniors leading meeting without the staff to say what they want to say, be man to man, talk eye to eye, that kind of thing. And I don't know what's said there. And I think that's some of the magic of the team, that Dave trusts his seniors to lead the team. Dave himself is a logistics guy, so he goes through a very organized plan. The Cal athletes know what they're doing, what time they're going, what bus they're going on, what they're eating in between the nap and getting ready to go back over. So all those meticulous details are taken care of. And then usually there's a motivational punch somewhere. And occasionally he lets me do a meeting. And as an assistant coach, I can have a lot more fun. Dave, you can share my silly second day deal if you want. But I, assistant coach, we can be a little bit, I'm Mr. Happy. When you're assistant coach, hey, I came in for 6 weeks. I'm just Mr. Happy. So I'm having a good, and I did have a good time. It was really a lot of fun being in that role.
So Brett, if you want to hear that we always call it, second day. I guess it's now the third day of the meet as we're going in, and we know it's an important one. At some point in time, David had a cap and goggles on and no shirt on. In our listen, our team meeting room at that point in time in the morning is not necessarily a private space. It was in the hotel kind of restaurant where people are walking by. So, if they saw some guy in his 60s with cap and goggles and no shirt on.
Chris was like, "You did not do that." I was like, I did. They needed it, honey. They needed it.
I love it. I love it. What about a coaching question? For coaches out there who are listening, how do you come down, Dave, or how do you come up? Because at the meet, you're hyped. I mean, your whistle, you can hear that from. I'm in Delaware. I can hear your whistle in Delaware. Your whistle's but you're screaming and you're so pumped up. How do you come down at night? How do you turn your brain off? How do you get the rest you need to be able to come back again?
Yeah, I don't know if it ever shuts off, right? I mean, and I think, Brett, you understand this. It's like you're thinking about so many different things,
right?
Whether it's individual athletes or the next morning or just the team dynamic and what's going on, that the mind is always turning, and you're lucky to get maybe 2 90-minute naps through the night and then kind of wake up and get after it again. But you're running on a level of adrenaline at that point in time. You're running on a level, and a lot of this is with the guys too. I mean, their mind can be racing. It's hard to have that peak, get ready to go, and then just to balance that with allowing your system to come down and rest and relax. And so there's some things that we try and work through as a team to make sure that we're doing that. But I think by and large, as coaches, it's hard to shut it off. It's the mind keeps racing and keeps going, and you know that, okay, as I get to Sunday, I'll have a little bit of time to rest, relax, and recuperate. But like when you're in it, it's like you're staying sort of pedal to the metal through it. So no, there's not a whole lot of rest to it. There's not a whole lot of coming down. The mind just keeps racing and keeps going and keeps thinking about different things that you can do. And I don't know, maybe David can speak to it. I mean, I didn't sleep that well. And it's not because it's not a level of nerves. It's just a matter of just having the mind very active in what's ahead of us and what we need to be doing. And I think that's as coaches, that's where things tend to operate and tend to go, especially during moments like this.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's a separator for me, and I've been in rooms with David multiple times where all things have been equal. We knew we were going to win. And 10 out of 10 times that happened because David Marsh put a plan in place, did some things, pulled some strings, did whatever we needed to do. But when all things were equal on Saturday morning, we figured it out. You look at Auburn's history, that it happened time and time again. You start to look at Cal now, and you're figuring it out too. But I just knew the two of you together were going to get this thing done. I didn't have a doubt, really. I really didn't. And that's not to take away from Texas, who are a brilliant team, phenomenal athletes. I mean, the Hall of Fame coach, everything. I just knew Saturday morning you two would figure it out, and you proved me right. But so can we get some insights from each one of you, maybe just to tell us how you did it? Is there any insights?
I'll let David start. I'm going to go get a refill as David is starting.
David, tell us what's the insight. I knew it was going to happen. Tell us how.
Well, I think that honestly, the insight is that we weren't sure it was going to happen, which helps keep you on edge. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you thinking, okay, what else can we do? What else can we do? What can you say to sort of calm somebody down or pick somebody up that needs to be picked up? And I think that's the balance. That's what in coaching, that's our responsibility, is to help our athletes be their best at the most critical moments. And sometimes that means you need to back off. Sometimes that means you need to be funny. Sometimes that means you need to be intense. And there were a lot of that. And literally with 18 guys between Dave and I, and sometimes we double team somebody, and we talk about who we need to double team.
There you go. See, that's it right there.
Yeah. So we'd have a discussion on what they need, and we would try to become the coach and create the setting that they needed. And so, there's certain people that need to be pulled on a stretch cord by Dave down the pool. So Dave's darting down to the pool when the meet's going on to go pull somebody on a stretch cord because they want Dave to be there. Right. And then other people are okay with me doing it. And okay, I'm down there during the 400 IMs. Of course, I want to be watching Hugo crank in the 400 IM, but I'm down there, doing the things that needed to be done to give those touches. So, the lesson for coaches that are tuning into this, and I think you have a huge coaching audience, is that, your job is to become the coach that the athletes need. And that doesn't always mean that the natural coach that you are. Sometimes you need to just back off and have a good time. Dave has a great sense of humor. He and I have a great chemistry because we enjoy each other's company. I think our wives got a little jealous during the weekend that we were spending too much time together. But it was one of those things where our conversations were about the nuances of people, and so and honestly, some things are really serious things. They're deep things. How's this going to help this person be successful beyond this window of time? And by the last day, that was really the philosophical conversation with the group, was that, hey, don't wish for an easy victory here. Wish for a challenge, because that will prepare you for life better. And I think that's some of the things that Cal represents when it comes to a program where it is a program that it isn't given all the easy stuff with that some of the programs that have, like you and I experienced at Auburn, Brett, where the budget is very big and you kind of have everything you need. At Cal, Dave's thinking about fundraising, he's thinking about relationship building, and it's I would say it's a very real world type atmosphere for the athletes and the coaches. And there are some strengths in that. Sometimes we wish we just got everything we wish for. The reality is, sometimes when you don't get what you wish for, you get what you need. That's when you become your best coach.
Right. Dave, on that, a Saturday morning, as David was just saying, that each athlete may need something a little bit different. How do you then approach the meeting on Saturday morning, knowing that you need a full team effort? What do you say? How do you deliver it on that morning?
Yeah, it is that idea of everybody being all into that particular process. I can remember that particular morning, Reese had sent me a text and said, "Hey, do you mind if I sleep in versus kind of waking up and swimming around in the morning?" And that was a big point. That was a point of emphasis for us, is just making sure that our system is up and going. Brett, you have to imagine that NC2As, and we need to change this, but the NC2As is starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time for a West Coast team. It's an hour session. it isn't, we don't have the prelim relays anymore. So we wake up, we swim at 10 and we're done at 11. And we have 7 hours between the end of prelims and the start of finals, which is ridiculous. It's almost more time between prelims and finals than we're having from finals to the next prelims, just on guys' energy coming down. And so it was a point of emphasis for us to kind of wake up, get moving, kind of, let's get our system ready to go. And Reese on that last day had sent me a text. It's like, hey, do you mind if I sleep in for a little bit? And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, Reese, and this is one of the things that I challenged Reese with during this meet. It's like, Reese, I need your leadership probably more so than I need your performance. And so, I mean, there may have been a little sacrifice of performance with that. It's like, Reese, I need you to get up and get in and swim to show the guys that this is what we're about. Oh, and I appreciate that from Reese. I mean, again, it sacrificed maybe a little bit of performance on his side, but it helped our team performance. So that to me is a lot of what we have in our leadership, where we may sacrifice a little bit of individual performance for, hey, this is a team thing. If we're going to win this, it needs to be a team dynamic. So I may not go as fast of a time as I'm capable of, but I'm going to do the things necessary for this team to pull everybody along in this direction. So I don't know if I answered that question, but that was just something that stood out to me, especially on that last morning where, one of our team leaders like, hey, can I sleep in a little bit more? I'm tired. I may have slept just about one or 2 hours and I could use another hour here. I'm like, no, Reese, I need the action of you being there and getting in and showing the guys that this is what we have to do. I need that more than I need you to go, 148 in the 200 breaststroke. What
about this then? What about in terms of, the confidence that you need on the last day for both of you? The confidence that your team needs is just an ultimate pure confidence. And you want to exude that yourself as a coach, but you're nervous. You're like, shit, are we, it's tied and the championship's on the line. There's so many things riding on this. How do you kind of suppress your own nervousness and bring out the confidence that your team is going to feed off?
Well, that's experience, Brett. I mean, I think that's something that as a coach, again, like I said before, you need to take on the mantra, the personality that the team needs. And I think, when you're a grown adult and you're looking at the big picture, I mean, the crap that's going on in Ukraine right now, the things that are going on around the world. I mean, the week before, the craziness of the NCAA championships and all the things that didn't have anything to do with just pure fast swimming and really celebrating a crazy great meet that Virginia women did. We're here now in this meet and it's the last day. It's like, we may have problems here. We don't really have problems. And I guess that's what I would say to the athletes. This is swimming. This is there are more important things in life than swimming. Now, when you got 18 guys that are between 18 and 22 and all that testosterone, you wouldn't think there's anything else. And you'd think this is the end all be all. So sometimes it's just reminding them that, guys, calm down a little bit and just understand that this is swimming. You go and you execute, do the thing you've been practicing, you do your job, you perform the way you need to. So that's the job of a coach is to carry that with them. And I think Dave does a great job of that. He can rise up and bring a lot of energy. And you're right. His whistle and his energy can be piercing. My left ear is not. I can't hear this week, but damn it, I was having a great time watching this. Doing this celebration together. I'd also say with a guy like Reese that here you are with Reese, who maybe because Dave had him get up, we had 3 down and 1 up in the breaststroke. He was our 1 up. He was the guy that when he finished the 200 breast, Dave honored me with he said, "Hey, David, why don't you go and tell Reese that after that swim is when we just wrapped up the national championship." And I got to go do that. And I had a really special moment with Reese and Dave, thank you for that. By the way, I haven't thanked you yet for that. That was really cool for me to get to go tell Reese that, because Reese, like Bjorn, cares way more about the team than any individual accomplishments. His individual accomplishments are still to come in this sport. And he's been put on a pedestal for a long time by people that want to promote him. He's had to manage that. And now he's been able to sort of enfold in a team environment at Berkeley. And I think that's the magic of this team, is that they weren't concerned with who was doing a best time on that last day. They were concerned about getting the job done. They were just looking at the board and looking at 8 and 16. It's like, did we get over that bump? And when Jet hit that 8th in the 200 fly, that was a pretty magic moment, because he had not had a great meet before that. His 800 free relay split was really good, but before that he had not had a great meet and was able to squeak in at 8th with a PB. So that's the stuff that you look for in this kind of meet.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to ignore this question, but he's not going to answer it either. He's not going to tell you who's recruiting, who's not. That's actually against the rules. He's not allowed to do that. So appreciate the question, but that's not going to happen. But let me ask you this.
Brad, I can answer that. Because I think
okay,
I can.
Okay.
No, I would tell you that one of the interesting things right now is the fifth-year recruiting that's going on all over the place. Because it's great. And Dave's not, I don't think he's not studying the portal every 2 seconds, but certainly Maggie coming out to Berkeley for Terry right now is a big change. And just for conversation of your show, which might be really interesting, is to see who ends up entering the portal and that kind of thing, and why they enter the portal. This fifth-year piece has really put a different twist on things. Now the ISL has stopped, so the fifth years don't have the ISL to jump out to. So maybe more of them stay in, and they're looking, hey, where can I get a graduate year or go get a certificate or something? And whoops, that was my computer. And have a chance to enhance my resume, those kind of things. So I think it's going to be a really interesting year, Brett, from your perspective, from a podcaster and watching something like this. You might be like watching an NFL channel right now. All they're talking about is the draft and the rookies and who's going to trade and that kind of stuff. And to some degree, I think that's what you're going to see in this year with all these fifth years that have their diplomas. They're saying, okay, where else can I, what else can I do before I go out in the real world or finish up my swimming career?
Do you have any guys who've committed yet, Dave, to you, fifth year?
I don't know if I can comment on that.
Well, don't give us names, but have you got any?
No, Brett, the great thing about Cal, and I can talk about what some of our fifth years did, and we had a fifth year transfer in Will Roberts from Michigan to Cal, and I've asked Will probably about a dozen times, because as you can imagine, for 15 years of being here at Cal, 15 plus years being here at Cal, like my focus is always on, the undergraduate education. What do we have? Different options, et cetera. And I've had to become a student of what are our graduate options now. Right. And fortunately for Will Roberts, he found one in mechanical engineering, and a 1-year program that was a perfect fit for him and is absolutely killing it. But we also have a handful of our guys that a graduate certificate program in data science and entrepreneurship and business management. And it was a perfect fit for them. It was one class that they went through, Monday through Friday that they went to, and they come out with a graduate certificate from University of California, Berkeley, which is a really big deal to get down on your resume as you're transitioning from the sport of swimming into your professional life. And it's such a reasonable way to balance out not only your swimming career, but your academic career. You are advancing your academic degree. You are advancing your opportunities, your professional opportunities beyond swimming with this. And it's been a great fit for our guys to be able to continue the sport that they love in an environment in which they love it in college swimming, and continue to move forward educationally, to continue to move forward professionally. And that's been a really, really important piece for us. And it was an important piece for our guys that came back for their fifth year and did that.
Hey, Brett, we didn't have as many problems at Auburn with this kind of thing, but it cuts both ways for Dave too. Because I mean, we had a summer Marco that did a conference. He anchored our tuna free relay, the one that swam there in 18 something and 52 low breaststroke at conference as well. And he's only a junior, but he's bouncing out of college because he's already got a job with LinkedIn at 200,000 plus, Dave. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Dave's losing one of his best swimmers as a junior because he's already bouncing out for a major job. So it's good in some ways for Dave, but it cuts both ways.
Yeah. How much longer are you going to be there, David Marsh? What's the agreement here? What's the extent?
Well, I'm helping Chase kind of fill in his spot, and so he's coming back in April. So I'll actually be at World Trials with Dave, and then hopefully we can can figure out a way that I can help out the team in the future. And I've always been a big supporter. My wife swam for Cal, swam for Karen Mo Thornton, and so we love what our experience that we had, and who knows, we'll try to figure some things out. But for right now, I'm in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and then I'm going from here either to Tier Pro Series or to Mission Viejo. I'm trying to figure it out right now because I got athletes at both places, and then I've got some medical things I got to do back home. I got this Irish skin that needs to be taken care of by a dermatologist. But then I'll be back over there at the World Trials with Dave and the Berkeley guys.
Cool. Very cool. Last question then, I guess, because you guys are awesome. Thanks for doing this. Dave Durden, how do you get now your guys who are obviously swimming out of their minds? How do you then now translate that into long course swimming? I'm thinking of a guy like Bjorn, who's 18.2, who could legitimately go 21.1 in the 50 long course. You know what I mean? How's that translate now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I told our guys last night, and it was late last night when I told them this, is like, give yourself 36 hours before we start thinking about the next thing. And I'm trying to do that as well. Trying to give myself 36 hours to think about the next thing.
Sorry.
But you get it, Brett. No. But you get it, Brett. It's just like, that's the next thing that you think about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Trust me. You say that time, like, I hear you. Like, that's what I was thinking about on the flight back. It's hard to, it's hard to disconnect yourself from that. And so I think for a guy like Bjorn, or even a guy like Hugo, who was 332, it's like, okay, how can we take the skill development that happened from last year to this year? How can we take that skill development, continue those skill pieces to help them be better, and then move that forward into a swimming piece? Because Bjorn does have a good start and good walls and good underwaters, but his swimming is beautiful. I mean, how he moves through the water. So how can we extend that swimming? And really, Brett, I mean, you get it. I mean, we're looking at we've got to figure out about 30 meters of swimming, because we're getting about 15 underwater. He's carrying the speed through that breakout and stroke setup. And so we're looking about 30 meters of swimming. So how can we get 30 meters of that speed-based swimming for him that looks so beautiful that can translate that down to that low 21 and the 50. So I'm with you, but I think it's just a continuation of his skill. I mean, everyone talks about short course swimming and long course swimming. It's still the underwater piece of it. It's still 30% of what they're doing. And it's a big piece. It's an important piece. And you know it as well as anyone that, it's the short course piece does help what they're doing from a long course perspective. And I think, Bjorn in particular, he's such a beautiful swimmer that should translate really well.
Yeah, I've actually lined up an interview with Bjorn tomorrow. I'm going to have him on the podcast, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit. Might kind of direct him in some areas too, if you don't mind. I'll help him a little there. But he's a talent, man. You got a real talent on your hands, and that kid can hold some water. He can swim. He's got it all. He's got the start. He's just a gifted athlete. So congrats on him and the work you've done there. But So then the last thing, I guess, is just how do you prepare then for trials? I mean, it's only a month away. Are you going to just go straight into all long course? Do you mix in some short course now, or is it just focus on long course? Yeah,
I mean, I think David touched on it a little bit. I mean, we touch long course all the way throughout the year, so we're never too far away from it. It's I'm a believer that it does set up their stroke really well. I'm a believer that as we get to periods of time, and it's not just world championship trials, but it's going to be years to come. It's going to be coming off of an NCAAs and going into a U.S. Olympic trials in a June timeframe, that we touch it throughout the year enough that our guys can transition back and forth very, very easily. I'm not one that is, okay, we've got to go all short course through the college season, and then as it gets to long course, that's an afterthought. It's like, okay, we're going to transition to long course and try and figure this out. For us, we're never too far away from that. And so it's keeping with our routine. It's keeping with our schedule. It's not necessarily hey, now we're going all long course. We've done it. So, and the system for us, our guys feel very comfortable with it. So I don't think we're necessarily changing our pattern through the week of what we're doing. And you know, for our guys, we start to look at some of our metrics more from a long course perspective versus what we're doing short course wise.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've kept you guys long enough. I appreciate it, both of you. Thanks.
Hey,
for
Brett,
doing this.
Brett, let me add one more in here just while you got the recording going, because it's maybe a separate clip. But and this goes to David Gonis, it goes to you two, and the media for this sport and the understanding of the sport. Guys, we have to move the weekend of the NCAA championships. I was gone for 16 years from NCAAs, and I experienced a lot of different things at the highest level, Olympic level, you know, the ISL, the world-class level. Then I go back 16 years later to the NCAAs, and I realize, oh my God, there is no more team championship than this. There's no more of a story than this, with these guys getting together, being in the mix, true brotherly care, love, true brotherly love happening, phenomenal times now, world-class swimming, American records all over the place, NCAA records all over the place, and nobody knows. I mean, in the interview room, there's, you know, I love Brian and I love Coleman and I love you, but I mean, the reality is we need CBS there. We need ESPN there. Come on, guys. Move the date of the NCAA championships to a date that it doesn't have many sports going on. Let's move to May if we need to. Let's move to late January, early February if we need to. Get it off this dadgum basketball stuff that the world needs to know. Not the world, the public, the general public need to know about this event. It is too special to keep hidden, doggone it. Women's softball is about to be featured for about a month coming up in April on ESPN every dadgum day. It's like, we have to move this thing to put it on a place where people care and they can learn about this amazing sport. That's it. Thank you.
I love it. We're trying. Guys like Kyle Sockwell out there trying, man. We're trying our best, but yeah, I agree with you. We need more help on that. But I brought in some guys live. I mean, I had Ian Crocker. No one had seen Ian Crocker for 10 years, and I pulled him out onto a live show to do some commentating on Saturday. So that was pretty cool. And but yeah, we're giving it a crack. You know, we're trying to throw different things out there. But listen, guys, congratulations again. I appreciate it. Outstanding effort. Enjoy this one. Seriously, enjoy it. You know, it's just you don't need to move on just yet, Dave. Just soak this one up. Enjoy it. Outstanding work. Whatever bonuses they're going to give you, you need to ask for double. You deserve it. Congratulations. So thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye.